Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to another edition of Your Health is Your Choice right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my wonderful, illuminating, extremely incredible woman. We have Dee Lippingwell here. We've had her on before where she talked about her 40 years experience as a rock and roll star photographer. Can you imagine what kind of job that is? Meeting all the stars. And she was the photographer in Vancouver and throughout Canada, and has really photographed many of the stars that from around the world. And this is one of her books, which she beautifully signed for me. We have lots of beautiful pictures in there of our rock and roll stars. And she's caught them in their moment, that moment where they are so aligned with the music and what they're playing. You could see the song coming out of them. And she's got more books coming on the way. And I do want you to go back and listen to that show because it was fantastic. So much that she shared. You want to know about Tina Turner? Go back to that show and listen all about it, but also on how you can get the books with all these wonderful rock and roll stars in there. But today we're talking about something else. She discovered in 2010 that she had a liver disease. And no, it wasn't through drinking, it was through something else. What was it and what did it lead to? So it's led to another book. You don't have to be a rock and roll star to get liver disease. And this is all the people that have been compromised with liver disease. And that is what we're talking about today. We take for granted our organs until they become compromised. And then we look at them and go, what can we do about it? See, here are a few facts on liver that you may not have known about. The real truth that there are over 100 known causes of liver disease that affect anyone from infants to seniors. Liver disease is not just with the rock and roll stars, but anyone can have it. Many people have only heard of Coricidus, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, which is often considered to be a form of liver disease. It is not a form of liver disease. It's a condition that results from permanent damage or scarring on the liver. The end stage of many different forms of liver disease have been known to cause a number of health problems. And we're going to learn more about that from the Health Link, but more about also this wonderful organization that she's a part of called Stacey's House. It's here in Vancouver, a home away from home. It's a happy liver society in BC, a non-profit society focused on providing housing and support for patients and their families from all over British Columbia as they travel to Vancouver General Hospital for life-saving liver transplants. Liver transplants patient must stay in Vancouver up to 3 months following their transplant for most transplant care and outpatient. And the Stacey Home post-operative liver patients is located one block away from the hospital, and it's there to support the people. So we're here to support this organization today, but also to bring about the awareness of liver disease that, again, until we've actually got it, we'd actually think it is an alcohol disease or a drug disease. We don't realize the liver is the cleaning out of our toxins. And if they have too many toxins in there, it can break down. But what other things can cause it? So let's talk a little bit about her rock and roll years, because really she's had some extraordinary journey there, but do go back and listen to the other show for the intents of it, but also how it led to her discovering about her own liver disease. Welcome back to the show, Dee.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. And how are you, my love?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain.
That's
I'm
always a good
still
way to
above
start.
ground, right?
That's the way to be above ground. Now, let's just talk a wee bit about your rock and roll beautiful journey that you had over 40 years of, the true story of it and the full journey of it is in the other show, but just a little synopsis of your career as a rock and roll star photographer.
I started as a hobby. Who knew? Uh, it was, I did it for my own pleasure.
Mhm.
I was a very avid fan, and I lived in a house where there was people there that weren't fans and could look after children while myself and my girlfriend went off to the Coliseum to see the Rolling Stones or
Mm.
to see this band or that band. And it just so happened that my brother was very, he was the reason that I started this, because that I became a rock and roll photographer, because he won tickets to a Pink Floyd concert.
Wow.
And my mother wouldn't let him go unless I went with him. So, and I
Mm.
thought, well, it would be really nice. I'd always said, why didn't I bring my camera?
Yes.
Right? It was like, and I mean, my camera at that time was like an Instamatic. Like,
Yes. With a
oh,
little square flash thing on the
yeah,
top
yeah,
that you
yeah,
turn
yeah,
around.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. Uh, so I did have a camera. It was an underwater camera, like an Nikon. But my friend, he had a long lens, and he said we were sitting in the nosebleed section. You think that winning tickets would be a little bit better than that? Anyway, when I tried to put this lens on my camera, it was so heavy that I had to get my brother to hold it up. And it was like, this is ridiculous. I can't even, I can't do this. So I took it off, put on my regular lens, made my way down, um, went through the, festival seating, no chairs. So I was able to make my way down as close as I could get, and just started taking pictures. It was, they were for him. So I really wasn't too concerned
Mhm.
about the quality.
Right.
So I got when I got home, I took my film into Shoppers Drug Mart to have it developed. And when I got my film back, there was like gold stars on the outside of the package. And I said, "What's this?" Because I'd taken a lot of my film in, right?
Mm.
"What's this?" And they said, "Oh, wow, it must be good photos." And I took them out, and they had a special on. So instead of getting those little 3.5 by 5s, you could actually get a 5 by 7 for the same price. And I told them, I said, look, I said, I don't know what I'm doing. If they don't turn out, don't print them. I can't afford to have them printed if they're not there, right? But
Mhm.
they were all printed. And I went, wow, these are really good. My brother's going to be really happy. And actually, a couple of days later, I was walking by this record store, and they had a poster in the window saying Pink Floyd concert photos on display inside. So I went, oh, okay. So I went in, and I walked over, and I was, not to be rude, but wow, they were awful. I mean, they were just awful. So they were black and white blobs.
Mm.
That was all. You couldn't even see who they were, basically.
Right.
So I got in touch with the store manager, and being my very shy self, I said, "You're going to do a display. Make the display so that you can actually see the performers." And he looked at me, and he was very haughty, and he said, "I'm sure that you have better." And I said,
As a
"I'm
matter of fact.
sure I do." Went home, got them, brought them back. Well, he ripped off, he asked me what my name was, and they typed my name out on a fax, like a fax machine, right? And put it up. And he tore all the other fellows' pictures down, put mine up, and that was it.
That was the
That was
beginning.
that was the beginning.
Hmm.
And it was like, okay. And I just started, I said, okay, well, I can't afford color. So I taught myself through Time Life books on how to do wonderful black and white
Hmm.
photography. Um, I built, well, a friend of mine built a darkroom, um, and I just started teaching myself how to develop my film, how to, when I screwed up or when I didn't screw up. Um, but what I was doing was um, I was there. This was the time when people didn't check you for cameras when you went in
Hmm.
to the Coliseum. And so it was like, I'd go in, take my camera, go down to the front, take the pictures, then go back to my seat. And it was like, and I was developing these pictures, and I was showing my workmates. And they was just saying, God, Dee, like you're really good at doing this,
Yes.
right? And so I started a little portfolio, and I went to the various record companies and said, look, and they told me, they said, well, we don't actually buy pictures of at the concerts. What you have to do is you have to get accredited with a magazine or a newspaper to have your pictures published. But if you're interested, one A&M Records, I believe, said if you're interested, maybe we could use you to shoot our special events or our gold album presentations or whatever. So it was like they gave me, it was a wealth of information. In fact, the record companies basically supported me for the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 years
A
of
great
my
training ground
career.
too, right? Great training ground.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that's how it all started.
I mean,
And
I'm looking at your book here, and because for people listening, they're not going to be able to see it, but there's
uh,
David Bowie,
yeah,
right? Kind of the two pictures of him in totally different views, and of course, Rolling Stones
yeah,
there, and these are all kind of the black and white ones, and then of course later on it kind of goes into the color, and you've got various other people here. I mean, Diana Ross, right? All of
uh,
these people, but what I see that you do with the pictures is you capture them in their moment. And that's the thing about, I love interviewing, musicians or singers because they are so in their soul journey. The heart and soul of the music is who they are, and they really know how to express that. And
yeah,
but to capture the photograph that captures them in that epiphany moment, that moment where you can really see them, they're connecting to the art, they're really in the zone. And your photographs capture that. You capture the essence of the divine presence they're in at the time, right?
well, I try to, without even realizing it, I let the music
Mm,
go in here
yeah.
and then come out here,
Yes. So you're
right?
you're capturing what you're feeling.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and special moments that you see that
Mm,
you don't capture. Like a good example of that is the Who,
mm,
and I I caught Pete Townsend leaping into the air, and it was like, whoa! Now that's a shot that I want to get.
yeah.
So it was like the ability to sort of remember,
Mm. The
right? So
experience.
like I went backwards in my brain saying, okay, he did something before he was in the air. So and then I saw he was doing it. And I thought, okay, this is it. And click. And I caught him in the air with his legs up. I caught Roger Daltrey swinging the microphone behind him. And it was just like, and it's moments like that
Mhm.
that, I get
Yes.
goosebumps.
Well, I mean, that's the whole
Yeah,
reason for the journey. People are going there for the music, they're going there for the experience, they're going there for those moments of connection. It's all frequency and vibration and energy connection, right?
yeah,
And to be able to
exactly.
capture that in that moment, not only is it honing and homing in that moment, but it keeps the memory alive. And it's not
Yeah,
just memory, that was a great concert and good music. That was how I felt in that moment, right? That's what we
exactly.
want to recover, how we felt in that moment. And if
Yeah.
certain photographs is like, oh, I remember that. Or I remember how I felt during that moment. And that's what we want to carry away with us, right? We can listen to the music anytime on a CD or whatever else, but it's capturing those moments of how they made you feel.
Mm. I've had numerous people come up to me, right, and more than numerous, and saying, when I saw that picture in your book, I was there. I was
Mhm.
back there. I was, uh, uh, I could relive the moment through your photograph,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, you hit the nail right on the head there.
I'm trying to find if there's any one of the pictures actually in here. So I'm going to look while we carry on talking.
Uh,
But
well,
that's a,
that book came about uh, actually over 10 years into my career. I was shooting for Expo 86.
Mm,
And I was about 8 years in, and I had that material, but people kept saying, "Why don't you do a book? Why don't you do
mm,
a book?" And I said, I don't have enough material." And then I realized that I did. I did Expo 86. So that's where the color shots came from
mm-hmm.
in the back. They were at the 86th Street Music Hall, which was absolutely marvelous. I was one of the photographers for that whole 6 month event, which was amazing.
Exciting,
Yes,
exciting. Yes,
totally amazing. Um,
yes.
it seems like yesterday. I can't believe it. It was so
I
far
know. I
in
know
my,
so long ago.
yeah.
Um,
And when I, people, then people came up to me and said, "Okay, well, let's do a book." Well, so I said, "Well, okay." So, it's just simple. It's black and white. And when it came out, people said, "Did you meet all these people?" And I went, "Mostly, yes." "Well, what happened?" And I went, "What do you mean what happened?" "Well, like, what are they like?
mm,
What happened backstage or whatever?" And I said, "Oh, mostly, it's me putting my one sneaker in my mouth at a time, right?
yes. I
Excuse me.
mean, there's so many of them here, Katie Lang and you've got so many wonderful people here. And it is capturing that moment, because what are memories? Memories are something that we like to revisit. We like to
Mm,
go back and we like to have a memory. Oh, I remember then I felt like this and we did that. And it's a pleasant memory. And then, people going to a concert should be a pleasant memory. Or people, going to any venues when you're seeing some musicians, you want to carry away the music, but you want to carry away the way you feel, the way it's made you feel. And having a picture that captures that moment is something that just anytime you kind of feel down, you can go back and revisit, and it takes you right
yeah,
back there again, right? So it's a gift that keeps on giving, which is so beautiful.
it is really. I just got back from Toronto, and I was fortunate enough to go to a Peter Gabriel concert.
Mm.
And of course, people don't know who Peter Gabriel, oh, shame on you, but Genesis with Phil
Yes,
Collins, etc.
yes.
And when I was at this concert, uh, I was taken back to the first the first
Mm.
time that I saw them. It was totally amazing.
Yes.
It
Who
was
says you don't
like,
have a time machine, right?
yeah, exactly. No, it was like, I mean, Peter Gabriel was, a little bolder and, 20 pounds heavier, as he said, but his voice, right?
Yeah.
And it was just when he sang the songs off his new coming out album, but then he went into all the old ones, and
Mm.
I was back in the
Yes.
70s
Yes.
again
A
because
good
his
time
voice,
period, folks. For those that
oh,
missed out on the
really?
70s, we had
Yeah,
some great musicians at that
yeah.
time.
But
Absolutely
I'm not
fabulous.
I'm not actually shooting concerts anymore because, as I tell people, I got them when they were young and beautiful without
Yeah.
wrinkles. And I have the best pictures of them. And I really don't want to uh, take pictures of Rod Stewart now that he's just as wrinkled as I am.
You want to keep the memory alive of those
I
good
do.
times, right?
I
Yeah.
do. I'll listen to the music.
Now,
Uh,
how did the whole liver thing coming about? When we first met, it was on the 262 wonderful event on the 8th of every month, folks. It's a wonderful event. You were a speaker there. And then you were reminded of, how you got your liver disease. And of course, everybody thinks liver disease comes about from, alcohol abuse. And it's so much more than that, as pointed out in the opening hour there. But how did yours come about? Because it was a very surprising way, and it shocked me and made me relook at what I was taking.
uh-huh. Well, it started, I got a 2 hour nosebleed, and I had never in my life before had a nosebleed. And this nosebleed would not stop. So, I mean, it was like 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. And I finally went to the computer and they said, if you have a nosebleed that lasts longer than 20 minutes, go to emergency. So my husband and I were, and I was like this, right? And um, uh, because I was closing my my my
Nose.
nose, the blood had to go somewhere.
Mm.
So it went out my eye. And of course, my grandson thought that this was just totally cool. Like,
Grandma's turned into the devil coronated.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But of course, my blood pressure skyrocketed. But they took blood, they did blood work. And that's how they found out that there was something wrong with my liver. And it was like you said, everybody associates it with alcohol and with drugs. Oh, you stuck needles in your arm.
Yeah.
No, it's just a foul. It's just like something people get. Oh God, you've got Hep C. Oh no, you've got Hep B. You've got, oh, it's because you're an addict. Wasn't the case at all. Over the course of a, a few, I think it took a few weeks. The doctor said, okay, what are you ingesting?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What are you ingesting? And it found out that every morning when I got up, because I was a photographer and I was lugging around equipment, and every morning when I got up, I took an extra strength ibuprofen
Mm-hmm.
just to ward off the aches and the pains. And
Exactly.
sometimes I took two a day, like at night, if I was,
Had
just,
a bad day. Yeah.
and right, I didn't read the warning labels. Like I'm
They're
sure that
also small. Who the hell is meant to read them anyway?
they get a magnifying glass and go,
Yeah.
oh, this can happen. And you're inundated on TV with, okay, these are the side effects.
Yeah.
But whoa. But I didn't read further down on the instruction thing saying, do not take this medication um, over an extended period of time because it can cause liver disease,
Right. That
liver
should be
damage.
in bigger writing. It
It
shouldn't.
should be. It
Yes.
should be. It should be. You have to change up your medication
Yeah.
because your body gets used to it. Um, but I was fortunate enough. I went on a new treatment program, which the government paid for, which was really good because
Mm.
it was going to cost me like $5,000 a week.
Wow.
Hello.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they told me, right? But through that company, through that discovery, I went from having a stage 4 liver disease, which stage 4 is bad, like
Mm-hmm.
you're going to die. They gave me 2 years to live,
Mm.
right? And after the treatment, I was at stage 2, totally manageable.
Right.
So they were able to put this drug out because I was the guinea pig. I'm sure
Right.
I wasn't the only one,
Right.
but
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 one of the ones that put it out there.
yeah. And through the Canadian Liver Society, right? Because I'm dealing with them all the time, right? I'm going in for checkups, I'm talking to specialists, I'm doing this. And one of the doctors said, you should actually get in touch with this girl. Her name is Karen Stacy, and she runs a charity called the Happy Liver Society. And you should get in touch with her because I think that you and her could work well together.
Hmm.
And so we did get together, and I was a photographer, so they did fundraising, they did benefits, they had rock and roll shows. So
Mm.
I became their photographer,
Right.
and uh, and just over the years, uh, just got more involved and more involved and more involved within the society, and just learning about liver disease. But
Yeah.
I didn't learn totally until she approached me and said, "We're going to put out a book." She said, "And it's just to get tested, to get cured. We've
Hmm.
got all this information at our fingertips and nobody knows about it." She said,
Exactly.
"It's just a tech book. It's going to be in doctors' offices, in the hospitals, throughout, BC right now.
Should be in pharmacies right next to the drug.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes, they put them, yeah, in pharmacies as well. Excuse me. That's from Toronto. I'm talking from
Pouring rain in Toronto.
talking too much. So she said we want to put together this textbook just to explain to people,
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, what do you mean? You don't have to be a rock star to get liver disease?" She
Ex
goes, "Oh, that's a great title. That's a
exactly.
great title." So we started doing our research and um, found out that all these different people in all walks of life, actors, sports people, singers,
Yes.
you know,
People
just
that you didn't even know about,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Right. And that's the thing is this not even knowing that these people exist, or that that's what they're going through, because again, everybody associates, right? It with a, you must have done something. And I mean,
yeah,
you simply took ibuprofen. Right?
yeah,
I mean, I take ibuprofen now and again, and I became very cautious about making sure I didn't take it more than 2 days in a row, that I change into something else, and that I only take one if I'm going to take it, and
yeah.
only take it when I really need to. And so I'm very glad that that information was shared, because how many people don't read their, how can you read it? It's microscopic, and it's how you meant to. If it's that deadly, it should be in bigger writing.
And
But this,
doctors too should be more informed, not that
yeah,
they're not, but doctors should be more informed when they're sending their patients for a blood test
yeah.
to include a liver
Yes,
function test.
because
It's
people might
it's
not
so
even know.
easy.
Yeah,
They don't know. You
yeah,
don't know until it's too late. I mean, I was lucky. But
yes,
when I walked out of that doctor's office after my blood test was revealed, she said, if you continue whatever it is you're doing, you're going to be dead in 2 years. And
right.
that was in 2010.
So your blood, bloody nose
So, yeah.
saved your
So,
life.
I mean, the liver I didn't realize how important the liver was.
Exactly. Who
Right?
does?
It's
I
like,
mean, it's like 1 in 10 people have some form of liver disease.
yeah,
1 in 10 people. This
yeah,
is not 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10, 1 in 10. That
yeah,
means we're all subject to it. And how
yeah,
many people have symptoms of this and symptoms of that, and then they get treated for this and that, and all the time it's that liver disease. Because
yeah.
the liver works bloody hard for us in our body.
Oh,
It gets rid of all those toxins and it cleans everything out. And if it's oversaturated, it can't work.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So, yeah, it's Um, we're actually after that book come out, we have now put together a another tech book on liver transplantation, what to expect from the different liver diseases. So that we're going to have that one available to the public very soon. But it's just, all the people who are fortunate enough to get liver transplants. Um, they're going to go through as much of the angst and the anxiety and whatever as they did before they got the liver transplant. So, and Karen, of course, has had a liver transplant. So, we're just, it's actually, the book is called Dark Water. Because it's disturbing to know some of the things that you have to go through. But what we've done is we've taken actual liver transplant patients
Mhm.
and we've asked them to contribute. So 80% of the book is towards people saying what they went through, how they suffered from, suicidal thoughts and
Yes.
whatever. And it's a whole thing of these people have gone through it. If you're going to have a liver transplant, you're going to live, number one. And you just have to be aware of what's going to happen down the road for you to live, right? You're
Yeah,
gonna,
and then there's
you
a
know,
process, a transition that you have
yeah,
to go through. And it's not a smooth ride, it could be rocky, but the
yeah.
end of it is you've got life.
You've got life,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's yeah, it's amazing. We'll do another one when the new book
Yes,
comes out
definitely.
again.
I mean, here's a few of the names that people didn't realize. Natalie Cole, right? Evil Knievel, Jack Kovanarekin, Mickey Mantle,
Yeah, a
right?
baseball player, you know.
Exactly. I mean,
You know,
all
and
of
we
these
know that
people.
he wasn't an alcoholic or they took drugs,
Yeah,
right? And you know, the whole, you know, the whole taboo thing about you being a drug addict. I mean, my sister-in-law, my ex-sister-in-law, she had liver disease and she had one drink a year at Christmas.
right,
She didn't smoke and she didn't do drugs.
right.
Right? So I
How did
mean,
hers come
I'm
about
not a
then?
doctor, but I think it's predetermined if you're going to get liver disease or you're going to get this disease or you're going to
Yeah,
get cancer. I mean, in my mind, I think it's predetermined.
right.
But
I
you
mean, they
can,
do say that, some people can get it from tattoos and this and that. So there's so much out there.
oh
But
yeah,
I
getting
mean,
your
you have
nails done,
Pamela
getting your nails
Anderson.
done. You know,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because we don't know all those ingredients and things in there. And of course, it goes through the liver to detox. And if you're oversaturating the liver, you've
yeah,
got Pamela Anderson, Sir Alec Guinness, Naomi Judd,
yeah,
right?
passed
Keith
away.
Richards,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Greg
Well,
Allman.
Keith Richards is still alive because he had a blood transfusion and he refused to have it. He refused
Really?
to have he refused to have liver disease. He
Right.
had a blood transfusion to get all the bad stuff out of
Right.
his
Yeah, I
body.
did. Take away my old blood. Give me some new one. You've got Steven Tyler, Lou Reed, Dusty Hill. There's all of these people, Greg Allman, Keith Richards, Etta James. And the thing is that, these are people that, and who we got here, Mike McDonald. You know,
Yeah,
it,
so, yeah, Mike McDonald was a great spokesman of ours before he passed away. He was an advocate. He said he just felt tired.
mm,
And his wife was actually the one who said, "Mike, I think you should go have a blood test because you're being tired for too long."
yeah,
And that's when he found out, right, that he had liver disease. And he said, "Just get tested, get cured. There's a cure. There is a cure for
yeah.
liver
If
disease."
you catch it in time, you don't even have to do, the transplant if you catch it
Yeah,
in time, right? So,
exactly.
yeah, I mean, Steve Jobs, right? Bowie. This is the thing is one doesn't quite know always how you extract it. I mean, here for you, ibuprofen, for other people, various things, but you've got some people, like, as you said, like that, where the hell did it come from? And
Yeah,
is it hereditary? Is it a
yeah,
malfunction of the liver? But,
yeah,
one of the big problems we have here, especially in BC, is that we have over 1 million people without a doctor, right? And
right,
if you do a phone doctor, you're allowed 3 minutes and one question. How do you know if it's your liver or not, or if it's your kidneys, or if it's something else? You don't know. That's what the doctors are meant to determine. How can they do it in 3 minutes over a Zoom call, right? So, and they don't want to do the testing because everything costs money. But you can demand it. I think you need to say, look, I want my liver tested. There's something
yeah,
off in my body. I don't know what it is. You haven't got the time to go through everything that I'm feeling. Give me a
yeah.
liver test and let me find out. And then we can strike that in or out, right?
Especially baby boomers, right?
Yes, of
You're,
which I'm one.
you know, which, yeah, it's a simple test. It's
Right.
just a simple test. And if you have, I mean, there are signs. There
Mm.
are definite signs, right? If you,
The
now
yellowing of the skin is one of them, right?
can I remember all of them? But if your abdomen is swelling, right, your liver doesn't hurt until
Right.
it's too late.
Yes.
And I would have a stitch in my side, just
Mm.
a little stitch. I thought, oh, well, I moved wrong or
Yeah.
whatever, right? So my liver was telling me at that point that,
Something was
hey,
wrong.
something was wrong, right?
But we're
And I
told to
think,
brush things off, right?
well, I
You
think
know,
that everybody knows too. If you know your body,
yeah.
you know if there's something wrong. You know, if you look in the mirror and your eyes are yellow, hello, you
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know,
But I mean, this at the stage of yellow, how far along are you?
oh, you're just, yes.
right?
exactly.
So don't wait until you got yellow eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that the gut, I have severe gut issues and part of my disease, and half the time I don't know, is it part of the disease? Is it something else? And that's the thing is that the gut itself could be carrying so many different problems. Could it be liver? Could it be your colon? Could it be something else? Could be leaky gut, all of these things. But I think that we have to kind of step up and say, look, this is the issue. I don't know if it's liver. I don't know if it's colon. I don't know if it's leaky gut. I need to be tested for all of these things so we can rule out what it isn't and address what it is. But
Yeah.
we really do have to kind of put a foot down with our doctors wherever we are and say, I just want a check. Stitch in time. Find out what it is, catch it in time before it becomes a transplant or an
Yeah.
end of life.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And especially, like I said, if you're a baby boomer, um, uh, it's surprising how many elderly people are dying because their livers just crapped out on them, right? I
Right.
mean,
And that's the last thing they
so
thought about because, we're
yeah,
told to focus on the heart,
yeah.
on the
Oh,
kidneys,
yes.
right? And so the
Right.
liver, as you said, it doesn't necessarily hurt. It doesn't give an indication. It comes up in a different symptom. So we
Yeah,
don't pay much attention to it. And also,
yeah,
where do you hear the conversation about liver?
yeah.
You hear it about heart all the time and other things, but where do we ever hear the conversation about liver?
Well, I think sometimes, especially when I'm doing when I'm doing any promotion for any events that are coming on, I think people get tired of me saying, "Have you been tested?
Yeah.
Have you been tested? Just
Yeah.
have you had a blood test to check your liver?" Right? And people look at me and go, "Okay." uh, and then I start going, hey, I almost died.
Right.
So thank
A
heavens
simple test.
that I had a blood test that they were to find out, what was wrong with me, and then discovering what caused that too was,
Yes.
you know, so. But I'm glad I survived. I'm
Oh, I'm glad you survived too. Definitely. We want you around for much, much longer.
yeah,
Um, you know, if it, your health is your choice in the sense that we need to be aware of our own body. We need to be advocates for our own body. We need to actually, demand that we do get the attention that we need. And if we know when our body's off, right?
yes,
And
we do.
we're not doctors, so we don't know necessarily what's causing it. And we can
Yes,
do our ABCs. Is it stress? Reduce the stress. Is it this? Is it that? Do that. Still feeling lousy? Okay, now I need a medical opinion. And when we are dealing, whether it's here in BC where there's no doctors or wherever it is in the world, whether your doctor is going to charge you an arm and a leg just to get a consultation, whatever it is, you may as
mm,
well get it maxed out and go, I want to be tested, right?
yes,
I
yes.
mean, the liver transplant, I don't know what is the rejection rate.
Actually, the success rate is, I believe, 85 to 95%.
That's really high.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very high. You do have to take drugs for the rest of your life.
Hmm.
And right after the transplant, you can suffer from severe depression. The drugs will make you either violent or happy, depending on your personality, right? That's why we did the second book,
Yeah.
to tell people, this is what other
Can
people
happen.
have experienced.
Yeah.
Now you might not get that, right? I mean, when I was a guinea pig, and they brought my husband and myself in, and they said, "Oh, okay, look, now these are the side effects that you might have." Right. And they told my husband, you have to learn how to cook. You're going to have to take care of her for the 6 week treatment because she's not going to want to do anything.
Right.
She might get hives all over her body. She might become a different person. There's all these different things that could happen to her. And I was really fortunate because I got on my husband. He did all the cleaning and everything. And I didn't actually have any side effects at all. In
I think
fact,
it depends
I
on the
thought I was
tox.
on a placebo actually, right?
I
Until
think
the
a
act.
lot to do with the toxicity in your body already. because,
Huh.
obviously, if the toxins are meant to be filtered through the liver, but they're not, then they're going somewhere else in the body. And if the
Yeah.
body has become very toxin in other parts of your body, then obviously going through the treatment that, the body's releasing. And when
Yeah.
it's releasing all those toxins and it's adjusting to a new organ, or even if you're just going through the treatment before the organ, the body is going to react, to the
Mhm.
detoxification. And so, infrared sauna, folks, I highly recommend that because it's make sure you take your electrolytes, but it's a wonderful way of actually, there's a case of a young fireman. He was very young and he got caught up in a chemical fire. And so his skin absorbed
Oh,
numerous amount of chemicals, and they actually said he'd never work again, and he was determined to get back to being a fireman because he was in his early 30s. And he went through an infrared sauna every day, and they measured all the toxins coming out of his body. They could identify them, and within 8 months he was completely clear and back at work. So, I mean, infrared sauna is a wonderful thing because it does release those toxins, and I can't take saunas, it's too hot, so it's a different heat. You just got
uh,
to remember to put electrolytes back in your body, but it's a wonderful way of detoxing. So you can help your body along and you can help your liver along,
well, you can help
with
your
that.
liver along just by not having your hair dyed, right?
Yes.
The different, not that I'm a health nut or whatever, but if I can't pronounce it on the label, I don't put it on
Yes.
my skin.
Yes. You look at some of these things,
Yeah.
and it's like that. And it's also when you see these, the one that gets me is the ad, depression hurts. Right. And they do
Oh,
this whole thing about people depressed, and then it's 10 minutes of how it could cause you to commit suicide.
yeah,
So, no, no, there are many other ways to help depression, folks, without
yeah,
taking a psychotic pill. You know?
exactly,
So, we do
exactly.
have to be very mindful of what we put in and on our body. And you know, to learn things after the fact. I used to dye my hair. I haven't in 6 years, so not, but even the creams we put on our body and the other things that we do to ourselves, we don't realize the heavy toxins that it's causing that could be
Hmm.
putting the weight on our thing. But hepatitis C and all these other hepatitis things that are out there, uh, you know, it, you could prick yourself on something and not know that that's causing it. And
Well, I
that's the
just saw
thing.
I just saw an ad the other day, and I've seen it before, but they're putting it on again. They're saying, "Are you a traveler? If you're
Hmm.
a traveler, right? Although it is a drug that you take before you travel, but
Yeah.
they're showing you hepatitis A can be on piece of fruit, a piece of a celery stick, a carrot stick. It could be hepatitis B, could be in the pool.
Yes.
Um, it's
Walking on the sand.
yeah. So they're saying protect yourself, right?
Yes.
Well, before you protect yourself,
Get tested.
get tested.
Yeah. Find
Get
out if you're
tested.
compromised. If just like if you have respiratory disease and you're going in amongst people and it's flu season, you're going to wear a mask. It's protecting yourself, right?
Yes.
Logical. Same type of thing. If you know you've got any liver compromisation whatsoever, you're going to be far more mindful of what you put on, in, and around your body,
Yeah.
right? That
I was
mindfulness.
yeah, I was never so aware of all the crap that
Yeah,
that you put on, right? That it's yeah, it's people have to be aware. You're absolutely right.
right.
If you know your own body, if you know that there's something wrong, right? Right now I have sciatica, right? I know it's
Yes.
sciatica, right? You know, uh, it's
It
but
ain't fun. It
I
ain't
deal
fun.
I deal with it because I know that it will eventually go away, and I've
Mm,
just twisted or turned when I shouldn't.
yeah.
A nice heating pad on it, and then
Yes.
you
Hmm.
know,
And that's where the infrared sauna is really good for too. It's good for the muscles and the arthritis and
yeah,
fibromyalgia and sciatica and all of that. And at the
yeah,
same time, detoxifying the body. So if
yeah.
you can afford it, it is an investment in your health. And that's the thing is look to what benefits, even if you're slightly compromised or you think you might be compromised, what can you do? Can you do a detox of your body? Now, the one thing you've got to be careful about detoxing is that you don't do too much too soon because you can throw
Yes,
your body into shock.
yeah, my doctor told me actually not to do a liver detox.
Hmm.
Um, you know, until you're tested,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And on the advice of your doctor, or a health, even a naturopath, right?
Mm,
Um, uh, they're quite informative about getting the detoxing your liver, because
yes.
sometimes it can do damage.
Too much,
Right?
too much too soon. And,
Yeah,
it took a while to get saturated. It needs some time to
yes,
to desaturate. And so
yeah. And
it
well, we
is,
know that the liver is the only organ in the body that will reinvent itself and become new again,
yes,
right? It'll
yes,
become new again.
yeah,
Of course, unless you have cirrhosis, and then that's permanent scarring. But the liver will deal with that too,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Um,
mean, it's an amazing organ, but basically what we've been doing to it is having it overworked by just giving it far too many toxins to work
yeah.
with that are detrimental, and we're expecting it just to be able to put up with it and,
Well,
keep on going.
even in the air that you breathe,
Yes,
there's lead.
yes.
I mean, not to get paranoid about
Mhm.
everything, walking around, it's like, oh my God, what's attacking me? But it's
One in
people,
10, folks.
uh,
Think about that.
one in
One in
10.
10,
Yeah,
right? We're not talking 1 in 100 or anything like 1 in 10.
10.
I'm sure you know more than 10 people. That means
Yeah,
somebody that you know could have liver disease and not even know it.
yeah. I
And a
mean,
simple test.
there's more people right now in BC that are suffering from liver disease than there are HIV patients.
Right.
Right? I think there's like 120,000 people in BC that have some form of liver disease,
That
right?
would that
And
that is
and
known. Never mind
yeah,
the
that is
unknown.
known. That
Yeah.
is known, right? But there's only 12,000 HIV patients. So what does that tell you,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, well,
Oh,
it's become that silent killer because we just don't know about it. We're unaware
yeah,
of it, and that's the reason
yeah,
for doing this show. When we're aware of something,
yeah.
I did one recently on dense breasts, and I had no understanding what dense breasts were, or the fact
Dense
whether
breath.
dense breasts. The denser your breast is, the more it can show up cancer, right?
Oh,
And so it's not so dense, then they can't see the cancer so well because your breasts are more
oh, I
white
see,
and
I
all of
see, I
that.
see, I see.
Right. So no, not dumb breasts.
Yeah, no, stupid breath.
But dense breasts. I mean, but all of these things that we just don't know. And by making people aware, it's not to cause fear, it's to empower you. Empower
Yes,
you. The thing is that some tests require a lot of other stuff and they can be very expensive. A blood test is not expensive for the medical. It's quick and easy and cheap and get results. And then from there, get preventative or deal with the stitch in time and not wait for it to get to
yeah.
that point where you need a transplant.
Everything hinges on getting a blood test
Yes,
for so many diseases, right? Kidney disease, pancreatic disease. You can find out if you have prostate cancer from a blood test,
yes,
right? A
yes,
blood test. It's
yeah.
like, those life labs out there of those girls who are out there taking blood all the time, and hats off to them.
I mean, while they're testing you for one thing, they can take that same blood test and test
Oh,
you for all these other things, right?
yeah,
It's the same
yeah,
blood and it can
yeah,
test on everything. They don't need a lot of it, but now you know. Oh, I'm clear, I'm clear, I'm clear. Good. Right? I'm not clear.
yeah,
I didn't know I had that. What can I do about it? What am I empowered to
right,
do about it? Right? And that's
yeah,
the thing is that's where your health is your choice is what are you empowered to do about it? And being proactive and taking the tests. And then, maybe you don't want to go the medical route, maybe you want to go a different route, but the thing is you're empowered to know
yeah,
this is what you have and now do your own investigation of what you need, which is really important. Now the house, sorry, I'm just looking for the name of the house again.
oh,
So,
Stacy
all
House.
right, Stacey House. Um, that is for people in BC that have had a transplant. And as you said,
Yes,
they need 3 months, for the various stages of recovery and for the adjustment and for the liver to take hold, so to speak, and be up and
Well, they have
function.
to be, yeah, they have to be within the hospital so that like they have to go there every day to
Mm,
check to see if the liver is being rejected or not.
right.
They have to take drugs. The drugs, they have to moderate the drugs, maybe too much of this, too much of
Yeah.
that, or whatever, right?
Hmm.
And the
And there's
people,
the emotional aspect of it as well. As you said, it can cause mood changes, etc. So you
oh,
need that supported as well.
and when people come. There's VGH
Mm.
does the liver transplants. So if you're coming from Prince George or Campbell River or whatever, right? Like in Vancouver, especially now,
Oh God, no.
I mean, how are you going to find a short-term rental
Right.
around the hospital,
Yes.
right? It's going to cost you an arm and a leg, which you don't have because probably if you're at that stage, you're definitely not working,
No.
right? So this is why Stacy House was brought about. Now we have a different Stacy House as it was in that book, uh, because it just the taxes and whatever because it was
Yes.
so close to the hospital got so large. So we have another one now, which is just as nice, and it's on a bus route, and it sleeps six, and it's
Right.
but we have a waiting list of people wanting to get in
Yeah.
because we want to open a couple more, but then that takes money because we don't buy the unit outright. We pay the rent, we pay the
Yeah.
utilities, we supply groceries, emotional support, um, everything that's needed because it's if they have any organ transplanted,
Hmm.
you need you know
You need a
it's
clean area.
gonna
You need
happen.
you need emotional support. You need to know that you're close to a hospital at any time that you need it. And the
Yeah,
thing is, what you should be doing when you're going through something like that is all of your focus is on getting well, not
yeah,
worrying about something else.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Can I afford the hotel while I'm here? Well, no, I can't, because my life insurance will pay for it, but I have to die for that.
yeah.
So,
Well, Karen
yeah.
actually found somebody close to the hospital. She was actually sleeping in her car
Oh,
in a parking garage because
mm,
it was cheaper to sleep in her car and pay the parking fee
yes.
than it was, and she couldn't afford it. It was like, whoa.
And what
Um,
how healthy is that for her to be going through that?
No,
Not at
yes,
all.
not
So,
at all.
the thing is, one of the things, and I say this, across the board in the shows, and I've had a few shows this week, unfortunately, that I've had to really repeat this. We've stopped investing in humanity. All right, we've got to a point where the money is going everywhere else but on people, on life forms or on planet. And we are shortchanging ourselves by doing this, and that we need to go back to investing in people. Preventative medicine, get the liver, tests which can tell you catch it in time before it gets to that point, or if it gets to that point, support these people so they can get back out there and have a productive life, worry-free. We need
Mhm.
to invest in these systems. And what we see is constant cutbacks, 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 because money has been misplaced and miss everything else.
And
You
spent
know,
elsewhere where it shouldn't be spent at
exactly.
all.
Exactly. It's not being invested in children. I've got a Forgotten Children series book coming out right now, which is all about the not investing in our children. And this is why we're seeing so much problem today. And we need to change our approach. And if we can take a human being and go, let's invest in them now, right, in the preventative stage, or if they're actually facing that crisis stage, because when they step back up into being a whole human being again, they are so much more the contributors in the world than the
Yes,
burden.
yes,
And they don't want to be the burden. They don't want
yes.
to be a burden in their own lives or the burden to their family. So it is the stitch in time. Let's invest in them now, and the productivity of who they are later will benefit one and all. But we don't look
Mm.
at it that way, and we need to really start changing the way we approach things.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Yes, you're absolutely right. But how can little old me do that well?
Every one of us Every little one of
I
us.
I did it
Yeah.
by I did it by getting involved,
Yes,
and after I was better, then making sure that other people got better too.
exactly.
Yeah.
My theory is that whatever hand people are served, whether it's from childhood or adulthood, whatever they're served, always becomes their calling to advocate for or to teach or to support along the way. Because
Mhm.
when we know that we've been through it, and when other people are around us, you know what I'm talking about, you've been through it, you understand what I'm going through, that's already an enormous step towards the support there. And then that
Oh,
helps people through what they're going through, rather than somebody that's just studied it but doesn't have that same connection to it. So I think
right,
we're all given a hand that we have to go through something for that relatability, for people to actually connect with us in a way that
right.
that familiarity of understanding what they're going through.
Yeah, this is why we reached out to patients who had had liver
Yeah.
transplants. And some of the stories are horror stories,
Yes.
but other stories are sort of every story is a success in its own,
And the thing is,
its
it may be
own
a horror
side.
story while they're going through it. And that horror story isn't there, it is there to show you prevention. Get
Yeah,
your tests so you don't have to get to this level. But they're
yeah,
obviously still alive because they're here to tell the story,
yeah,
right? But that is a please, before you get to that level, I have to go through that horror story. And then, of course, you've got other people who didn't have it so difficult. But the main thing is they're alive to tell the story today.
exactly, exactly.
It's a
Well
simple
done.
thing. It's a simple thing, isn't it? Is that most of the time we are not taught prevention. We are, the I'm not knocking the medical system because they do incredible things and they're really good at fixing people or transplanting or, kind of addressing something at that moment, but they're not great on the preventative and they're not great on the sustainability. And that comes down to a lot of it is mind, heart, matter, body, soul. It's a lot to do with our emotional state. What are we doing for our body? What are we eating? What are we putting in our body? What are we wearing? What are we doing in life? Because if we're in a perpetual state of anxiety or depression or anger or anything else, we're just going to cause our body to break down. And that in itself brings toxicity into our body and changes chemicals in our body all the time. So we really do need to be mindful on our own health and what we can do for our own body, and then reach out medically to when it is beyond our control. We need to know, what can I do about it? Or is there something I can do about? And, simple blood tests can let
Yeah,
people know. And I know a lot of people, if I don't know, then I don't have to deal with it. Well, do you want to deal with it at the transplant level? All right.
exactly.
Do you want to be looking from the other side going, oh God, I've left my family behind. I wish I dealt with that earlier.
Uh, yes. I wish I paid attention to that,
Yeah.
to that nosebleed,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know. I
And as you
mean,
said, you don't necessarily even have to be having any, indications that are
like
obvious.
physical things, yeah,
Yes.
right.
Right. So it's
Yeah,
just get tested, because if you catch it right early on, then it is completely curable, preventable from getting any worse.
yeah,
And if it is further on, like you said, you're stage 4,
yeah,
right? And yet you turned it around. Here you are,
yeah.
13 years later, still talking about it.
Hey, yes, still doing special events. And, actually when COVID happened, our special events, like with anything else, just was curtailed. So now we're trying to get back onto the bandwagon again, now that people can get together, and so we're trying to raise more money to open another Stacy House, and to help more people,
Now,
right?
and this is a template, folks, for whether you're in BC or not. Wherever you are, and you've been down the liver road in any way, family member,
Mhm.
yourself, or anything else, these houses are needed everywhere. Everywhere a transplant is done, a house is needed to help people recover. So you
Mhm.
can look at the Stacey House and support it here in BC for the people here in Canada and BC. But if you're in America, if you're somewhere else, there's an organization out there, and please support that. Everything, wherever you are, it's important. But to BCians, to Canadians, right, this is
Mhm.
happening on your doorstep, right? And You don't know if your liver is okay or not. First, go and get tested. And B, for the people that are going through it, that are facing kind of the hardest journey of their life, let's be there for them. And simply that roof over the head, food in the stomach, and knowing that medical support is right there, emotional support is right there, is that
Yeah,
you are showing that you care, right? You care and you want them not only to survive, but to thrive through this and
exactly.
get on with their lives in a more productive way. So let us step up. It doesn't matter if you can afford $5 or $50 or $500. Everything counts. Everything helps.
Yeah.
So if people are going to support this cause, where do they go, love?
They can go to the Happy Liver Society website. It's Happy Liver Society. Donations can be made through all the Van City branches in BC. Um, uh, uh, but basically, the website is where to find out more information and how to donate.
Right.
Yeah,
And you can donate money, you can donate time, you can become a donor,
yeah,
you can spread the word, you can participate, you can donate items. You know, it's like, well,
yeah.
I don't really have spare money right now, but do you have spare time? Can you be an
Exactly.
advocate? Can you share this show around to
Yeah.
everybody that you know so they can get educated on it? Right?
Well,
Because
every Christmas we do Christmas hampers for
mhm,
people who have had transplants, right? So, businesses participate in that as well, putting in food and turkeys and, stuff like that. So no matter how you participate, any participation is good.
absolutely. Anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Anything.
And of course, Save on
Yeah.
Foods is the big food sponsor here, which is wonderful to see. So, number one with this show, folks, is awareness. Go and get your liver tested. Even if you feel absolutely great, go and get
Yeah.
your liver tested. If you're feeling slightly out of sorts and you're not quite sure what's wrong with you, go and ask whether it's online doctor. I haven't had a doctor for 5 years. It's an online doctor. 3 minutes, one question. Okay, one question. I want my liver tested.
Hmm.
Right? And if they go, why? I don't feel good and you can't examine me, let's rule out liver,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And while you're at it,
Perfect.
one blood test, can I get this tested, that tested, and that tested at the same time? If we're ruling that out, then we
Well,
can
then,
narrow down what's wrong.
yeah, the doctors will test you for high cholesterol,
Right.
or they'll test you for irregular heartbeats, right? But and I'm not saying all doctors, no, of course not. But when I asked my doctor, like she said, why? I said,
Yeah.
well, I've had the liver disease.
Yeah.
I want my liver tested. Um, well, you had it. I said, yeah, but it could come back. Who knows? I
Yes.
mean, and
The
she
toxins are still out there, right?
yeah,
Whether you're taking them
more,
or not.
more
Yeah.
now, more in the
Yeah.
past 13 years,
Yes.
right? There's
Yeah.
more in the air.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, I hope that people take note.
And
And
have your doctor take note and go,
yeah,
hello, my body. It's a simple blood test. Let me do that test and then we can revisit again and whether
yeah,
it is or isn't. And if it isn't, then we know it's something else we need to address. And if it is, we
uh,
need to address that. But,
exactly.
and that's the thing. Don't be intimidated by your
Yeah,
doctors, right?
yeah,
I think it should be something that could even be tested just, it should be a regular thing that every 3 months or every 6 months you can go to Life Labs and automatically get tested.
yeah,
That's what I would like to see,
yeah.
right?
Me
So
too.
and so you can drop a line to your medical minister and say, make it more accessible. Make it more accessible so that we actually can rule out major liver disease going, south and look to
Mhm.
preventing it right at the beginning, right? Dealing with it
Right.
right at the beginning. Stitch in
Yeah,
time, folks. Okay, stitch in time. Number one, go and get your liver tested. Number two, support Stacy's house.
yeah.
Okay. Number three, the book is coming out when?
Well, we're still doing. There always seems to be a little edit here and a little edit there, but probably within the next month. So
Excellent. And
it'll
when it
be in pharmacies and hospitals and your doctor's offices and healthcare workers and nurses.
excellent.
Yeah, yeah,
Pick one up, share it with the family,
yeah.
right? You don't want to go down that road. Now, is this one still around, love? The Rockstar one?
Yes, it's still around. Yes, it
Excellent.
is. It's still,
It's
yes.
a great book just to have, never mind all the information, but like, just everything in here. This is so much information in here. And at the same time, it's just showing you some of the stars that you had never knew, right? And great photography in here. So, uh, pick it up. Don't keep it to yourself, even if you do become that annoying relative. Have you had your liver tested? There's a reason. And you go and say to them, okay, when you call me to tell me you've had it tested and you're okay, I'll keep quiet. Until then, I won't. Because it is important and it's something we're not taught. It is not spoken about. We have absolutely no idea that getting our liver tested now and again could prevent liver disease
Yeah.
or deal with it and catch it right at the beginning. And we not encourage that at all. So through this show,
No.
please go and share the show. Please go and share Dee's other show, or all about the rock and roll stars, the people she met, and the photography and everything. Please listen to that show. It was so illuminating. But make sure this show is shared. Send out the link to all your relatives and say, come and hear what I learned today. Let them hear it from themselves, all right? Because it is important. Please, it is important. Thank you so much, Dee, for sharing with us again.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I'm glad to be of assistance and to give you more information on, you know, y- your happy liver.
You're happy liver. We want a happy liver. It
Yeah,
works goddamn hard for us. Let's be kind
yeah,
to it. Let's
yeah.
support it. Okay, folks?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, my darling. And to everyone
Okay.
else out there, please just simply go get tested. Simply. First step, go get tested. In whichever way you have to beg, whatever, go and get tested. And from there, start speaking about it to other people. All right? Because everybody should get tested so we know what to do next. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation will be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.